Today's project is converting this back window into a smaller window. So this is why I need to do that. Most windows on the bus are about 25 inches wide, but there's few windows like this one that are extra wide. And the problem is, if I leave this window here, we're going to be adding the garage in the back, a small garage to have the electrical closet and some other storage there, water pump and so forth. And the wall, the dividing wall between the garage and the rest of the bus will be coming up to like here somewhere, something like that, this way, right? So if I put the wall there and I leave the window, then how am I gonna open the window? How am I gonna reach the latch? Or how am I gonna remove the window from the inside when I need to service it in the future, or repair it, or replace it, or whatever, a glass could break, whatever. So I can't do that. I need to be able to remove the window from the inside if I ever need to, and I don't want to have to tear the whole wall down to get to it. So I need to convert it to a shorter window that ends somewhere over here, so then I can have the dividing wall behind it, so then I have access to the window. So I have extra windows that are left over from the window deletes, so I'm going to use one of those, but I need to make a frame for it. So I'm just have some square tubing. This is inch and a half, 14 gauge, I believe. So I first thing, I cut out this piece over here, right? That's gonna be horizontal piece, and then I need to do one vertical piece here, welded, and then the window can go in, and then I need to cover with sheet metal on the outside, the gap, right? So I cut out this piece, and then what I also want to do is, because these head channels, right, they're probably 14 gauge, so I need to cut out a notch here into this, so when it goes inside, it lays flush with the sheet metal behind it, and that will also create a less of a gap here in the corner if I can make it more flush, and that will make sure that it doesn't stick out over here past the head channel, right? Because I'm gonna have to add framing and all that. So this is where I marked it. That's the width of this lip on the head channel is what I need to cut out on both sides. I want to add that this piece of metal that was here, right, that was resting under, that was going under this sheet of metal. I cut it off, okay, because that's going to get replaced with the square tubing. Ooh, hot. Alright, that's how it looks like. I just have to do the other one. Okay, here it is. Let's see how this fits. There we go. Okay, that's sitting flush with the head channel. Now I'm gonna clamp it and get it ready for welding. Okay, so I have it clamped to the side, so it pulls it in, and then I clamp top bottom to the sheet metal there on both sides like that. Lighting is not good, so I don't know if you can see well. Don't forget to disconnect your battery before you do any welding on the bus. Negative terminal first, and then positive. Let's try to weld this. I'm not a good welder, but I think I can do enough to hold this window in place. Well, let me just weld the other side and then I can remove the clamps and do the corner. I got the clamps off, so now I will try to weld the corner there. I don't have to do it on all the sides. I mean, these two sides is enough. I mean, this one and the bottom, but I'll try to do a little bit of here. Now I'm gonna clean this up with an angle grinder. Now I'm using the wire wheel to just remove all these flakes and little pieces. Okay, there's my amateur welds. Got a few good spots to grab on, so you know, this is not like structural like hat channels, you know, for the roof raise that I hired a professional for. So it has enough of a weld on there to hold it. Now I just have to cut this piece of sheet metal off here. So I have to cut it somewhere over here. I have to measure the distance. It's 35.5 inches between the two hat channels, so that's where the square tubing vertical piece needs to go. So I've marked the line right here, 25.5 inches from the other hat channel, and I'm going to cut it now this way. I should have done this before I welded the horizontal piece of the square tubing, but I forgot, so I'm going to do it now. It's a lot harder to cut it with the square tubing under it, of course, because I don't want to cut into the square tubing too much. So make sure if you're doing this, cut it before you put the square tubing. But I managed to get most of it. I'm just going to use like a chisel to get the corner here, hammer it down, because I don't want to damage the edge here. I got the chisel and the hammer, and I'm just going to do this. Okay, that looks good. Now I'm gonna bend this piece back up, because you know that will be covered with sheet metal. So I'm gonna cut this piece out, but keep this here and tuck it in behind the sheet metal I put in. So it's kind of like shingles, so it helps with reducing chances of leaks. Now I'm gonna cut it there. That's the thickness of the square tubing. It would be actually easier to cut from the outside, but I can't because the ladder I want to use is being used by somebody else, and these ladders are just not good for here. I can't position them right. I need the one ladder with two legs. I cut this piece off, this 90-degree angle here, so it doesn't get in the way of the new sheet metal I add. So I got the vertical piece cut out to size. The top part I had to cut under the angle because up here this is under the angle, so this is how it's going to be installed. Okay, there we go. And I've measured 25.5 inches from this head channel, just like the bottom, and I marked it with a marker here so I know where this should go. And over here I've decided to, the sheet metal I add to go over the rub rail. So I'm going to remove this rivet, and then I'm going to put the sheet metal over it like shingles, right? And then I'll rivet it and rivet it on both sides, so that way when the water is coming down it just flows over and doesn't have any chances of getting inside here, for example. That's the weak point, but the sheet metal will go over this here.
This is the bottle, and these are the windows, and this is the top of the box, and this is what you come out to get some air. And these are the parts where Tata is going to make them, and let me show you this. This is the driver's seat and the steering wheel, and this is the wind, and this is the doors. Okay? Oh, and this is Nina's and Papa's house. Oh, and there's all of the buttons. And there was this, where you could just step up and have a brother look outside. But we're going to cover this up, right?
Yes, we'll put a couch there. I clamp the vertical piece like this, and in the top I actually put a piece of folded sheet metal because I wanted to push it off of the outside of the bus. I want it to be flush with this piece over here, that matches the head channel on this side. So that's how it kind of jammed it, and then I'm gonna weld it like that. Okay, I finished welding the vertical piece. Of course, cleaned it up with a grinder. So that's good. It's looking good. It's not moving or anything. I think it's a pretty good weld. I'm considering that I'm just, starting to learn to weld. It's not structural again, but enough to hold a window. I got the shorter window here. So let me see how that looks. If I mess something up. Oh, look at that. Look at that. I have to see, it's a little lifted on one side. It could be just that metal needs to be ground down, the sheet metal that was there. But it's fitting, like the width wise is fine. Looks pretty good to me. I took the window off and I hammered the sheet metal the window is sitting on, because I saw a few spots that were warped, and that kind of brought the window down so it's more level. So now I'm gonna just screw it in. I got a drill, so I marked over here where I need to drill the holes for the mounting screws. This side already has them. I found some screws in the garage and just put some washers on them. So I don't know if you can see, but the window, the way it sits, the distance, let's say from here to the edge, is not the same as the distance to the top, because there is the window sits kind of like under the angle here. So there is a gap over here, but up there at the top there's hardly any gap from the square tubing. Meaning when I cut the sheet metal, if I just measure the bottom and I do it straight 90-degree angle, sheet metal is going to overlap here. Or if I do it at the top and down, measure the top and then make a rectangle. Then here it's gonna have a lot of bigger distance from the edge. So I'm gonna make it so, and so the bottom side of the sheet metal is wider than the top. So when you look at the window, it's the same distance from the edge. I'm gonna have to chop the edge off here so I can put the sheet metal under there. Alright, so the length should be 30 and 1/16. Now I'm gonna draw the line. Okay. And then this line. There we go. So this should be 10 and 7/16. 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 10 and 3/4. 10 and 3/4. Perfect. Here it is. This is the side I cut. Pretty good. Alright. So that stays flat at the bottom. It's gonna just go over like here. Now I have to cut out a notch here so I can put this in. I'm gonna try the oscillating tool first. Alright, basically this is going. Okay, and let's see what happens. Okay, that's looking good. Rivets removed. I'm gonna go install it. So from the inside, when I had the sheet metal up there like this, I went on the inside of the bus, and through the rivet holes I made a circle, and like I scratched it off where the rivet holes are, so that way I can reuse those rivet holes. Over here on the left side there is no rivet holes because that's the vertical square tubing that I added, so I can just put them anywhere I want. So after I drill the holes in the sheet metal to try to match the existing holes here on the bus, I clamped the sheet metal back on, and I see that the holes are not perfectly lined up, and because I was kind of in a hurry, so now I'm just gonna I'm using this one. That one is perfectly lined up, so I'm gonna just do that one first. I'm gonna use the drill and widen, because I know that the bus's rivet hole is smaller, so I'll just widen that, and then I'm gonna put clecos there and then widen all the rest of them, and then I'll drill the holes for the here and the bottom. Now that I've marked the holes here and here, and I center punch them as well, so I'm just gonna drill those. Here's the progress. Now it's time to put a sealant. You can see I'm putting it on this side of the rivet holes. Alright, and then over here I'm just gonna do some in the top right here. I'm gonna add again, once I install the sheet metal, I'm gonna add some more. Okay, make sure it's lined up with the holes. Okay. Okay, that's good. A metal tube, and I'm gonna hammer it in. There. Oh wait, I forgot to put a sealant on that one. This is how it looks like finally done. I reinstalled the window. It's not leaking because it has rained. I just need to add the sealant, you know, a bead on the outside, and I'll do that when I'm doing the sealant for the whole bus on all the seams before painting. Divider wall is gonna come up somewhere over here. It's not going to be blocking the window, it's not going to be over the window.